anymore.
At the Global Liver Institute, we believe it all starts with a patient. So what happens when a patient, a liver patient no less, one of the 500 million people living with conditions that often go undiagnosed, untreated, or misdiagnosed, mistreated, and stigmatized, brings the challenges of liver patients front and center? And what happens when a patient then leads a discussion with world experts in policy, research, clinical care, and wellness on ways to overcome these challenges? Let's find out today on GLI Live.
Hello and welcome for what's clearly a very special episode of GLI Live. I am your usual host, Donna Cryer, founder and CEO of the Global Liver Institute. But I have right here next to me, live in person, Jeff McIntyre, our VP of Liver Health Programs. Hello, Jeff.
How special this is to do a GLI live and in person.
Much like the liver meeting will be, both live and virtual in just a few days. So I'm so excited for this episode, much requested episode on how to navigate the liver meeting. The American Association for the Study of the Liver is having its annual meeting, finally, after many years in person once again, or rather hybrid. And so there are opportunities in person and online for patients and patient advocates to take advantage of and participate in. And we wanted to make sure that you knew how. So that is the purpose of this episode. So I'm going to give a little background, and Jeff is going to give some of the details of the programs. So for those of you who are just joining the story, it's really a big leap for the liver meeting and for AASLD to have this meeting be, checkmark patients included in a very significant, meaningful way. And I want to thank them, and I want to give them so much credit for the work that they have been doing with us over the course of the past few years to really listen to patients and patient advocates and to incorporate so many of our suggestions into the planning of the meeting. That includes having a patient advisory council on which I have been sitting for the past 2 years. There are other committees with AASLD, and we'll make sure in the show notes and in other things circulating with this episode that people know how to become involved and to submit their own names to be part of one of the various committees that AASLD now has with patients included. Jeff is part of some others, and he will explain that. But I just wanted to make sure that people know that there is still the opportunity here as we film this on November 2nd to sign up and get a patient rate, a special patient rate to attend the liver meeting virtually, or if you are close to DC or want to get in your car or on a train or a plane, you can still attend it in person. If you do have problems, even with that reduced $50 patient advocate rate, please let us know, or Michael Providence at AASLD, and he will see what he can do. We do want to have as many patients participating as possible. So Jeff, why don't you tell us a few of the things that people can participate in?
So let me build on that a little bit
Okay.
and say that this is really exciting. I mean, the last time there was actually an AASLD liver meeting was 2019 that you and I went to in person. And I was reflecting on that and looking at the agenda, and the amount of patient inclusive content on that was really minimal. And so this is a huge growth, as well as a huge opportunity for patients to represent, if you will. And GLI certainly is the tip of the spear, is representing patient concerns, patient needs, but we need the patients there as well in order to build and continue to involve patient involvement. We have and should have a working relationship with hepatologists, with providers, with medical societies, and this is our opportunity to be able to do that. First off, let me start with perhaps the most exciting thing at AASLD for GLI in terms of our participation, and that is the GLI booth, of course. We're going to be in the exhibit hall. We're going to have all our GLI materials. You'll get to see and talk to actual GLI Live staffers, which is not a virtual experience anymore. You can go up and
don't poke them.
poke-
don't poke them.
I'll accept pokes on the shoulder, appropriately distanced. And I think it's going to be really exciting to be able to talk with patients, be able to introduce ourselves, to be able to talk about and show our wealth of materials. We're reviewing the material menu that we have for everything that we can give away. And it's really, you see it all in one place, and it's just stunning to be able to do. But one of the things I really want to point out that I hope that people listening to this podcast, both patients and anybody that is just kind of a stakeholder in Mass General, is we're going to have a really large display in the shape of a liver, apropos, for people to come in and write and talk about why liver health is important to them, what liver health means to them. And we think that's a really great opportunity to get a scan of who's going to be there, to be able to talk about these issues, and to be able to talk about how GLI as a patient representative organization, as patient advocates, can help empower patients and the field to move forward in a way that's prosperous for all patients. That said, let's move into the menu for the day. Okay, so we start off, what is today? The 2nd, the 3rd, so that's the 4th, November 4th. We're actually going to have a patient community conversation. And ASLD is doing this with a couple of the patient groups. I know Wayne Eskridge from the Fatty Liver Foundation, who's one of our Liver Action Network members, will be hosting one as well. And this is a chance for the GLI vice presidents to show out, if you will. So myself
There's 2 of them now
as the vice president of liver health programs, and our brand shiny new vice president for policy, Daniel Nam, will be joining me as well to talk about opportunities, talk about what's going on, and most importantly, listen to you and listen to the patients and see where we can help empower and support what you need. Coming, straight in after that is I think one of the most provocative, and I think one of the sessions that actually shows a change in the weather for ASLD and hepatology field is this one. Donna Cryer, JD, will be giving a patient keynote address on liver health equity, about how to overcome stigma, how to overcome access, and talking about policy barriers. And it's so interesting to me, that title and the subject is so needed because it has the equity focus. But when you talk to patients generally, these are the issues that they struggle with in general. But then if you layer the equity issue over the top of it, it really is looking at the most vulnerable in the worst case scenarios. And so it's a very necessary, very needed, and something that ASLD didn't have back in 2019 or before. So I'm supercharged about that presentation. Donna will also be speaking at a Meet the Experts. Wow, I don't know what that symbol means. Using patient advocacy to advance research in chronic liver diseases. That'll be November 5th at 1 p.m.
I'll be doing that with Dr. Michael Fuchs from the VA.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll be talking about I think it's going to be really exciting to talk about not only how we partner with the Veterans Administration and Veterans Health, but how we partner with physicians on research beyond funding. I think when they ask, patient groups fund research, but there are so many more ways that we're involved.
He is so good. I mean, he's so kind of matter of fact and so insightful about stuff. And we've had such a good relationship with them. They were very involved with International NASH Day last year and continue to be a priority population that we look at for GLI as well.
Absolutely.
November 6th, bright and early the next morning, 9 a.m., those members of our Liver Action Network, and it's an exciting new framework. We've got 12 to 13 in the US and Canada and growing, if you will. We'll have our land breakfast to gather together on that morning. And then we get the infamous, that afternoon, 4 p.m., the NAFLD nomenclature consensus process update. Even that is a mouthful. Perhaps we should come up with a task force to study the name of the process as well.
I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done that. I've every angle of it. I've even sent some memes for the faces I will use during the nomenclature conversation. If you would like access to the memes, you have to come by the booth.
Yeah, excellent. And we know that's been a big topic. Certainly, one of many topics at ASLD. And so if you're interested in that, hope you'll check that out as well. I'm sure there'll be a lot of buzz online about that afterwards as well. Now, one of the final places that we're involved is actually the next morning at 9 a.m. It's I think this is Monday morning, the 7th, if I have my days correct. And there's what's called a state-of-the-art lecture on HCC and NAFLD. And I'll be one of the patient representatives kind of co-chairing the session, if you will, Rohit Lumba from out west, out in California, is going to actually give a presentation on what is state of the art in fatty liver disease right now. And to kind of give this a little bit of context, I think it's important to note that this was originally also part of an important patient leap that ASLD has made. That originally this was going to be about kind of patient guidelines or patient interpretation of the practice guidelines around NAFLD and HCC. But due to kind of the administrative process, we weren't quite confident that we'd be able to come out and speak about those things in a way that would actually be helpful for the field due to approvals and just kind of running it through the bureaucracy, all the checks and balances we need. So instead, we're going to be just talking about the state of the art, what's new, where are we at right now. And I'm excited for this session. I'm excited to hear what Dr. Lumba's got to say, and I'm excited to be able to have free reign to pose a question there as well and coordinate that. There's a couple of additional patient sessions. Donna?
Yeah, I'll talk about those. I also just want to say a note about the role of patients and guidelines and your role as members of guidelines committee, my role as members of some guidelines committees. I think it is a huge step forward to ensuring that we have patient-centered care. If the guidelines don't consider what patients find important, they can't possibly have an output that resembles patient-centered care.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, your work and your outreach throughout the patient community to make sure, for example, that there were, you know, women as part of the reproductive health and liver diseases. I'm like, that's a great idea. How about have some women talking about what reproductive health in liver disease should look like? And so that's how patients make a difference. And so talking about liver cancer and NASH, certainly you can do that in your sleep. By the 7th, you may be doing it in your sleep. And so that's a good thing. But tying the two together, because we know we cannot solve the crisis of liver cancer if we are not also dealing with NASH and curing hepatitis C and vaccinating for hepatitis B. So it all goes together, and I'm glad that session reflects it. So what our point is that there is an extensive, rich program that was put together in collaboration with patients and patient advocates, throughout the year. And there are opportunities this week for you to attend scientific sessions on the practice of medicine, practice of hepatology, and also some sessions on self-care and policy. And so I would highly recommend that if you are a liver patient or a caregiver, even if you were newly diagnosed or have been living with liver disease for decades or more, there is something that is here for you, and there is a place for you, a person for you to carry forward in your advocacy. And so I would also just say that as you look at this robust agenda, I'll say this as a patient, come hydrated, come rested. Don't feel you have to go to every session, as exciting as they are. Lay down before you fall down is my thing. It is a marathon, and I get so excited, seeing people that I, will not have seen in many years. And there are morning breakfasts and evening receptions. But I remember the days when I would sort of end up, sort of wash up on the shores after a major meeting like this and need to be in bed for, a week. So I've sort of been in training. I have IV fluids on board. I have an EPO shot. I'm just going to be like, she's so amazing. She can make, she can do the whole week. I am fortified. So, please know that as much as patients are welcome, you're still a patient, and it's okay to sign out of a session and just take a nap, so that you can make the next session and most of it. So that's my note in particular for patients and patient advocates, because I get some folks who are like, you never told me. And so I'm telling you, and it's on the record, that this is an intense experience but it is a worthwhile experience. And so I'm excited that I get to experience it with Vice President Jeff McIntyre here, and so many members of Team GLI. You will know us by our burgundy, the color of liver health. Come up, say hi. And look forward to all of the conversations that we'll be able to have over the course of the next week or so.
You've taken the words out of my mouth, which was, if you see us around, come say hello, tell us about what's going on in your life. You know, the patient experience is the priority. And if you were to design a way to be able to approach, you know, liver disease or disease state of any sort, we'd want to design it with patient involvement foremost and at the forefront. And this is our opportunity to do that. And with GLI out there to represent and to give you the infrastructure for it, we think it's a great opportunity. We want to hear what your needs are. We want to hear what your victories are, what your successes are. Come find us. Granted, Donna will be in her burgundy running shoes going from session to session. So you might also, you know, be ready for an oncoming burgundy blitz. But we look forward to seeing you. We look forward to seeing all of our industry partners. We look forward to seeing all of our folks that are coming in from overseas for this as well. It's going to be a great meeting.
Yes. Thank you so much. Bye.
Please be sure to like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. Join us weekly on Wednesdays at noon Eastern Time for more episodes of GLI Live. Check out our website, globalliver.org, and follow us on social media to learn more about the Global Liver Institute and stay up to date with the latest in liver health. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and stay connected.